up my dictionary, intersex vividly, imagine now, early. Divine. I knew my time would come, but patience not my virtue. Life is funny though. Jumping too fast, it should have hurt you. But the dawn is Venus, is intuitive, new emotion, divine motion, ocean floating, Billy Rubin ocean. The shit, I am it, this dedicated in verbal intent, nighting the divine bars lit. Confident language, I dare you to try this. The lane switch, we tackle the abyss. Descend to ascend, straight into bend. Jamming like Ben, 3-stack, O'Farrell munchin'. Divine. 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 My black thoughts uncommon, but I got common sense. So my comma bun concomitant with comet hits. Dissect my bars to get a PhD in cunning wit. Delve in vibrations in known esoterics divine. My dialogue and verses now expanding. Divine consciousness over under understanding. Oh, the path is so demanding. And being real is uncanny. Automatons need nannies. I'll up the ante because I'm so anti. Dumb, stupid, ignorant. Come with something handy. Something I can hold. Some tangible untangies. Meanwhile, I craft balls that dangle like ear candies. D-I-V-E inside the mind of a fine wine that's aged over time. Linguistic gymnastic every time I spit mine. These lines must be read between to find the jewels hidden inside. Divine. Inspiration, needlepoint excellence, divine vibrations, you best believe it. The end conceive it, hands cleave it. I wrote my own religio, so like the script said to do so. My offsprings will have the crystalline milk flow. The honey mix, cinnamon opens the dough. To be the nigga, the ginger, the naga, pretender. Never send back if fake is the endeavor. Yes, I like cheddar, but for the expense of soul essence, never would trade whatever, whenever. Fair or storm weather. We can sing but not talk together, cause cons get reversed or curse inside my verse. I wordsmith the game, no need rehearse. The spring burst, vernal equinox, you thirst. I thirst for more to leave your body enriched like iron ore. The divine whore I stir. I'm soft earth from now on and going forth, me and her. Divine. Divine. The barren woman becomes the virgin. The baptizer is the revelator come in person. The vicar, the wicker, kindle light flicker in the night sky come hither. In the winter where the plants wither and the earth is bitter, you will find your great potential, let the seeds enter. The ground with the feces round, the scarab beetles found. A place to lay eggs, nutrients and soil fed. Scorpio flow risen from the frozen dead. This is the word, bar superb. Every noun and verb perfectly formed. I gets down, you heard. Jacob's ladder climbing out of the dirt. The work, Dogun insight. Visors and neon, excellent divine eyesight. Higher than kite, lower than lithium dick sites. We dig through plights to take red light flights at midnight. Type 5 spit right, the true essence of my life. I got a simple message, if you cite it then get it right. Cause this is divine. Mic check, mic check. 1 2 1 2. Okay. I can't take this message on the top with no card. So stand by. Stand by. Don't fret. I'm coming back. You should still hear me. Just taking care of a little technical thing here. All right.
All right, mic check, mic check. I hope everybody can hear me. Thank you, Lisa. Peace to everybody in the chat. Peace to the moderators. Thank you, Shadowfly, being here. Thank you, 34, Miss Green. Peace to man, my eyes are getting bad. Lisa, peace to Terry. Peace to Shay Sienna. That's Detroit in the house. Peace to Magician, God Science, another moderator in the house. Thank y'all for being here. And peace to whomever else is out there. Peace to A Rhythm in the Dark. Yeah. All right. Thank y'all for being here. And okay, so let's get into this real quick. We know that today is the full moon in Scorpio. Actually, the time of the full moon was about an hour ago, and around 12:21 Central Standard Time. And full moons, new moons, they come and they go, right? And sometimes you feel like you're just on the hamster wheel. Got to talk about the next new moon. Got to talk about the next full moon. It's eclipse season. Um, you know, then if you are someone who really, really follows the moon, we got to talk about the first quarter square or the monthly report. The last quarter square and the gibbous moon and the disseminating moon and the balsamic. If you depending on how detailed you want to get, and sometimes you feel like you're just going around in circles. But I like to always try to highlight the significance. If we're going to talk about a moment, what's the greater significance of it? And this full moon has a lot of significance. I'm going to say, first of all, for myself, a lot, but collectively, it has a lot of significance in it because we're having a full moon in Scorpio for the first time in about the last 8 years, where the planet Uranus is not in the sign of Taurus. And I think that's something to really pay attention to and hang our hat on. It is of great significance. The outer planets are, because of their slow transits, it is sometimes you begin a transit, and by the time that planet has completed its transit in a sign, just think about all the lives that have changed. Think about the souls that have transitioned this realm. Think about in your family. During the time that Uranus was in Taurus, you know what's crazy is when Uranus moved into Taurus in 2018. 2018, my little sister was diagnosed with breast cancer. And before Uranus completed its transit, she had transitioned. So these outer planets are so significant, those transits, because they can produce things that can change our lives forever. It changed our family's lives, you know, um, her daughter's life forever. You're right. And when Uranus moved into Taurus, it was my sister is a Cancer rising, so it moved into either her 11th or 10th. But it was carrying the energy of, I want to say, her 8th house. So because I think she has, let's see, she's Cancer rising, Cap in the 7th. Yeah, I think Aquarius on the 8th. And there's this 8th house that carries all of this very heavy energy. And so I think we do not want to make it trivial when you've lived through an outer planet moving through a sign. Those planets move so slowly because they're giving us the opportunity to see something. What they do, depending on the nature of the planet, Pluto produces a great heaviness. It's an implosive type of energy that Pluto carries. It's power. It's a pressing down energy, right? Neptune carries the energy of chaos. It separates and dissolves things. Well, Uranus carries an energy of disruption, which is in itself is a form of chaos. But it's Neptune is a things breaking apart. Uranus is more about things blowing up. That's how it creates chaos. It blows things up. And if you survive, especially Uranus in Taurus, now by traditional standards, outer planets don't have any dignity or debility. But in a more modern purview, the outer planets do have rulership and dignity and debility. And so Uranus is considered to be debilitated in the sign of Taurus. And because, in a sense, Uranus is the antithesis of Taurus. Taurus is the epitome of fixed energy because it's Earth. And Taurus wants things to be in homeostasis. Spring has to be the most homeostatic season of the year. It's almost like that little Goldilocks and the Three Little Bears. You know, the baby bear had the perfect porridge. The mama bear's porridge was too cold. Daddy bear's porridge was too hot. And the baby bear's was just perfect. And it's like Taurus season. It's like in the northern hemisphere, the weather is under natural conditions, normal conditions. The weather is just perfect. It's mild. It's not too cold. It's not too hot. And Uranus does not, it wants the future. It wants what's beyond the border. It wants ingenuity. It wants to blow up that which is stagnant. So that's why it's a conflict between those, the energetic expression of Uranus and the energetic field, that which is Taurus. They don't mix well together. So wherever Taurus is in your chart, you may have been feeling that where you wanted to have stability or where you sought stability and security, it just felt like things were constantly in upheaval. And what Uranus was teaching us in its time in Taurus was how to prepare, how to be mutable. We were learning how to adapt, especially important for me. I have very little mutable energy in my chart. Got a lot of cardinal energy, a lot of fixed energy. But so guess what? Jamal can initiate, but he can also see it through. And he likes having a routine. But when things are constantly thrown in the mix that mess up my routine, then it is the frustration, right? So all throughout these 8 years, I've had to learn how to adapt. And for us who, especially if you are a sun in a fixed sign, sun in Taurus, sun in Aquarius, sun in Taurus, sun in Leo, sun in Scorpio, or sun in Aquarius, then you have a natural propensity to want to be settled in your expression through your operating system. Your sun sign is your operating system. Modus operandi. This is how I move. I move through the lens of Taurus. I'm Taurus. I defy you to find a Taurus who does not you can always look at a Taurus home. There's a certain um degree of comfort that the Taurus home exudes, right? And there's a certain degree of they tend to have a degree of luxuriousness that they naturally can bring it in because they want their home to reflect spring, right? um but we had to adjust with constant interruptions to spring for the last 8 years collectively, but especially for people who got a lot of fixed energy. You were introduced to how to change and adapt and incorporate that adaptation into your natural propensity to be determined and stubborn. Fixed sign is the stubborn because that is the fixed sign is stubborn because when a fixed season comes into play, it is when the initiation of the season has crystallized. Fixed signs are about crystallization. Okay. We get introduction to fall in Libra, but it's not until Scorpio that we realize, oh, it's fall for real. Because the earth has had 40 days from the initiation of the season to adjust its temperature. The earth has adjusted, the water temperature has adjusted. It is officially that season. That's why they're fixed. Leo is fixed in the summer because the initiation at the summer solstice has crystallized. By the time we get to Leo, it's official. It is summertime. It is hot, hot, right? But so while Uranus was in Taurus, we were challenged to incorporate adaptation into the fixed perspective. So collectively, we were learning how to endure. See, the cure or the remedy was not to keep running. So if you kept running while Uranus was in Taurus, you missed it. It wasn't about abandonment. It was about adaptation while still being fixed. And it was not about, oh, I'm doubling down on, well, this is what's right. And I ain't changing. I'm not going to expand my mind. I ain't trying to learn nothing. That wasn't it either. If you tried to run, you lost. If you doubled down and didn't want to learn and adapt, you lost. Adaptation and endurance was the key. Because anytime a planet is debilitated, it is bringing something to that energetic field to expand the awareness in that area. You need debilitation. You can't always be in the territory of your comrades. You need to know how to operate in the territory of your enemy to really test how advanced or how much you know, how much you understand, and to really be able to see what is your actual perspective. That's why sometimes people like to have somebody to argue with and debate because it helps them to develop their point of view. Some people don't naturally have a point of view. They need somebody to challenge them so they can then, oh, I need somebody I can disagree with. Well, that's kind of when the planet is debilitated, it is a chance to see the other side. The whole idea of debility is kind of Aquarian in nature. Aquarius is an out of the box type of energy. Well, when planets are debilitated, you must think outside of the box relative to where that planet is debilitated. So we had to, and Uranus, by modern standards, rules Aquarius. So we had to bring some type of Aquarian, higher octave of Mercury, higher octave of thinking into Taurus, our resources, because what? Resources likely for a lot of us weren't stable. So we had to think outside the box. Uranus and Taurus. So with this full moon today, that is at 11 degrees of Scorpio. Very important for me personally because I have a planet at 11 of Scorpio in my chart. It is Uranus. So back in typically Uranus is the last planet of the midlife crisis. The midlife crisis involves three outer planets, the big three. It involves Neptune, squared Neptune. So transiting Neptune will square your natal Neptune. Transiting Pluto will square your natal Pluto. And then the last wave will be where Uranus opposes your natal Uranus. And that's the conclusion of the midlife crisis. The word crisis, as I've often talked about on this channel, means hatch. So we use words and don't always have a full denotative understanding of what they mean. When we use crisis, it's a triggering word, and we typically think of something bad, right? Well, all of us got here through a crisis, through a hatching or a birth, right? So for me, this period was back in 21, 22, doing all the COVID stuff, right? That's when I was having from 21 to 22, I was in the last phase of the midlife crisis. So for us who are born between 19, I want to say, let me just look. I want to say 1976. Let me look. I want to say 76 Uranus in Taurus generation. It is, 76 through like 80. I want to say 83. So if you were born in those years, I'm looking through my trusty ephemeris here. No, Uranus moved into Sag in 82. So I want to say 81. Yeah, if you're born between 76 and 81, you're part of the Uranus in Taurus generation. So all of us in that range completed our midlife crisis between 2020, 2021, and just recently. Those who are born like 80, 81, you're just now kind of completing, because I think Uranus is at the end of like 28, 29, 81. So yeah, just now. So here's the point. This full moon that occurred at 11 of Scorpio, to me, is the closing out officially of the midlife crisis for us between 76 and 81. For the collective, it is the closing out of the cycle of Uranus transit in Taurus, because previously when we had our full moon in Scorpio, it was in the opposite sign of where Uranus was. And the moon Uranus aspects produce great angst. There's a undercurrent of unease that is involved with Uranus aspects to the moon. Okay. So with this one, this time, it is a full moon in Scorpio. I feel that it's the closing act. For me, it's definitely significant because I got, Uranus in a T square to my sun and Saturn, and So I want to talk about, though, let's talk about the significance of just in basic astrology of the moon in Scorpio. And why is the moon in its fall in the sign of Scorpio? It is oh, okay, I'll come back to that. The moon is associated with the womb. The moon rules the sign Cancer, and Cancer is considered to be the gate of man because it is where we come into the three-dimensional through the womb. And Capricorn is the gate of the gods because it is the gateway to the outer planets. And so it symbolically represents us going beyond the 7-layered trappings of the physical reality. Well, the moon wants to grow because every new moon, what does the moon do? It's new, then it's a first quarter moon, then or it's a crescent, then it's the first quarter moon. It's a crisis of action. Okay, I gotta. What's the crisis at the first quarter moon? That I want to survive. That's the crisis. The moon is fighting for its life at the first quarter. I want to grow. I want to. Well, what is the ultimate goal of the moon? To be full. It's growing, so the moon wants to grow. Taurus provides the energetic field for the moon's exaltation because Taurus is about growth. It supports it. How do we grow in the human reality? We eat. First thing when you're born, you want to take a dump, Scorpio, and you want to eat, Taurus. Two first things. Well, first is you got to take a breath. You got to take a breath to start it. Start the pump. Okay. In this reality, as soon as you are breathing, you want to defecate, urinate, and eat. Taurus and Scorpio axis. So Taurus provides what is necessary for growth. So the moon is like, I can dig it. I appreciate that. Yeah. Well, Scorpio is the opposite. Scorpio is about elimination. So the moon doesn't have the support for growth. So that's why it is debilitated or in its fall in Scorpio. So some words to think about here. First of all, the moon in its fall in Scorpio forces the realization of the other side of ingestion. Taurus is ingestion. It starts the digestive process. Scorpio is the end of it. Because for the ingestion to become something that is viable, there at the same time has to be elimination. Elimination is a necessity of life. So the moon in Scorpio is confronted with the necessity of elimination. Taurus is anabolic. Taurus is a growing sign. Scorpio is catabolic. It's a breaking down. Okay. Venus rules over Taurus, and Venus is a sign that it's a benefic because why? It supports growth. It's anabolic. Mars, by traditional standard, rules over Scorpio. Mars is breaking down things. It's catabolic. The opposite of Taurus's association with possession. Keywords for Taurus: I have. keywords for Scorpio, I desire. So Taurus is possession. Scorpio is dispossession. I desire because I have to release. When a planet or a luminary is debilitated, it is bringing something to the sign where it is debilitated. So I'm going to give, we're going to take a health, we're going to refer to health here to help convey the astrology or how this applies in everyday life. From a health perspective, a fallen moon or a moon in Scorpio brings info to Scorpio that potassium is needed to help regulate the sodium. It's just a simple example. Okay. Sodium, astrologers don't historically agree on all rulerships. Okay. Let's say that. Some give rulership of sodium to Saturn, while others give rulership to Mars. So let's just go with the Mars rulership of sodium. Okay. If the moon is, I think it's pretty across the board agreed upon that the moon rules over potassium. Okay. Now potassium and sodium work together to regulate water outside and inside the cell, because water follows. Then they kind of like the leaders, and they help regulate and help maintain the shape of the cell through their regulation of water and the volume in the cell. The cell is a factory, and it must have the right structure, functionality to keep the factory moving. If its shape is disrupted, then the nutrient flow into the factory can be interrupted. So sodium and potassium are helping to maintain the dexterity of the cell and fluid level within the cell so it can function properly. So if Mars rules blood and it rules the sign of Scorpio, then when the moon is in its fall in Scorpio, is bringing information to that field to help support functionality. So you look at what the moon rules. It rules potassium. Then you look at, well, what does Mars rule? Rules sodium. Mars also rules the blood. So then you look at where Mars is debilitated. It would be debilitated in Venus ruled signs. So if there's a potassium level dysfunction, what does Venus? Because Venus rules the sign where Mars would be debilitated. Well, one thing Venus rules is the kidneys. And if potassium and sodium levels are off, then the kidneys can become hypofunctional. So this is a physiological example of how the debility. So in other words, you can't get caught up in life by looking at things that don't flow the way you would like them to flow. We have debilitation in our existence. We have conflicts. We have retrograde. We have squares. We have because that is where the essence of godhood is developed within humanity through difficulty. How much have you learned through difficult shit you've been through? Where shit wasn't right? Remember how been times you've been lazy when stuff came to you too easy, or naive, about people or situations, everything looked so beautiful, and how it took a smack upside the head, whoa, for you to realize that you were seeing through rose-colored glasses, or if you just stop being so lazy and shiftless and dismissive, right? So it takes things not being what they need to be for you to see how things really should function. You know, you got a lot of athletes now who parents have all this money just sitting in the AAU and this and that, and they never had to get out there and just dribble in the dirt or just run through mud. And they had all these trainers, and they got 10,000 YouTube videos. But what is kind of getting removed is the grit, right? Look at LeBron James, who came out the hood, and look at his son Bronny. Bronny's like, I don't know anything about poverty. Because he didn't have to fight against something, right? The athlete it was a drive for Deion Sanders to be a great athlete because he came out of the swamps of Florida, out the dirt, out the literal mud, right? So it gives you an extra drive and a grit when you come out of hard times. And that's what the debilitated planets and luminaries do. They give us the perspective of not feeling safe, not feeling like everything is just set up just for me. Our generation, we had Silver Spoon with Ricky Schroeder. I used to watch it like, this motherfucker got video games in his basement. And it's like, you would sit and watch that like, wow, we'd watch the cartoon Richie Rich. He had a little dog named Dollar, and Dollar be prancing around, a little poodle. And you just would imagine, like, man, just imagine if you just had everything that you wanted just right there at your fingertips. You would be worthless. You would be worthless. So this full moon is helping us mentally. It's helping us bring mentally the deep processes of the subconscious and of the mind up to front and center. The moon in Scorpio makes us see what we are feeling, to see it, to pull it up, to see the ugliness of it, because it is the shit of Scorpio that produces the flowers of Taurus. Shit. Taurus rules over shit, bathrooms, feces, urine, all the funky stuff we don't want to acknowledge. That's Scorpio. And if you take those away, you ain't got no food. You have no beautiful blue bonnets in Texas to go on the side of the highway like, oh my God. And people be out there taking pictures and about to get hit by an 18-wheeler. I'd be damned if I want to take a picture that bad and some purple flowers to be on the side of the highway in Texas. People do 80 passing you on the shoulder in Texas, but that's I digress. So again, mentally, the moon in Scorpio is bringing info about the deep processes of the subconscious mind. Tell us to see what is there needing to be released. This is the eliminatory system, which is associated with Scorpio. What needs to be assimilated and integrated? Scorpio ruling over the colon does not just eliminate, it also supports new life. Sidebar, etymologically, the word Scorpio literally means life. As much as we associate death with Scorpio, it means life. And one of the best ways to understand Scorpio is to study the dung beetle, who rolls up in feces, lays his eggs, and the eggs hatch out of the dung balls that it rolls. Right? So the dung is fuel. Think about, I talked about the rabbit with the whole Bad Bunny thing, how the rabbit eats its own feces and it has the ability to extract the energy out of its own feces, because that is the number one source of energy, is the remnants of the previous cycle of digestion. That, so in other words, symbolically is speaking to wisdom. Wisdom is feces, because the feces is the what's left over after you have digested what you previously ingested. It is the extraction, right? But in addition to that, another reason why Scorpio is associated with life, literally, Scorpio rules over the reproductive organs. It rules over the eliminatory, the anus, the colon, and the eliminatory functions of the reproductive organs, but it also rules over the reproductive functions, life after death. And the colon, when the colon is purified, it makes your ability to absorb nutrients much greater, because the intestine has the job of sifting through. Small intestine is sifting through, large intestine is moving out, but then it also is taking and allowing the absorption of the usable nutrients into the bloodstream to be used for energy. So there's a purging nature around this full moon. And one of the things we are purging is the difficulties we've experienced in the past 8 years. We are, and this is not just some cliche thrown around on the internet, we are releasing it. We are releasing it. We are challenged to not be attached to the difficulties that have been experienced. We are challenged to have learned from them and to not have taken them on as our identity. Uranus in Taurus. Unstable resources. Spring that never comes. Could have produced a state of elongated melancholy, to where we developed the idea that this is the way it is. No, that was a course that you took. It was an 8-year course that you took in your life class. That course is over with now. Now what we're doing is we're getting a grade. We're getting a grade. And now what is happening is that Uranus has moved into the sign of Gemini, which is these energies together is the energy of a brilliant student or a maniacal psychopath. No, maniacal sociopath, because you're aware of the pain you inflict and you enjoy it. So this is, Uranus can be the brilliant, bright-eyed student who is so thirsty for learning, and the genius. The true genius comes through the mind of a student. It is the questions you ask is what determines who a genius is. Genius ain't about what you know. It's about the ability to ask questions that you look around at other people. You're like, why aren't you asking this question? Why have you accepted this perspective? And you did not ask questions. So that was part of how Uranus in Taurus was preparing us for Uranus in Gemini. it will be a harsh reality for some people who double down on their fixed whatevers during the Uranus and Taurus. It'll be equally a harsh reality for those who ran, because now the running, I don't care what speed you're running at, you're not going to be able to outrun this energy. You can't run away from this, because Uranus is in a energetic field where its speed is almost quantum. It's faster than the speed of light. And you can't outrun it. You must become the time. You must become it. And you become it by, the child has the ability to, thank you, magician. Thank you for your super chat. The child has the ability to traverse all realms because the child is not tied down by the necessity of being right. Don't even say in the Bible you must come as a child. You can't enter unless you come as a child. There's an innocence that comes about with learning. And there's a genius of it, because genius is the ability to generate and create life. And you create life through the wonderment of being a child, the innocence. I know nothing. I desire to know it all. That's the beauty. And this is why Geminis and Aquarius fuck with each other. So, because, you know, when it is like air amongst air, you know, and so it's like, it's the energy of a blue jay. That's something else too. I'm glad that the spirit settled that in too, because the blue jay was the key while Uranus was in Taurus, because the blue jay represents the marriage between Uranus and Gaia through his color patterns of his blue, black, and white. That symbolically is Uranus' marriage to Gaia. And Gaia means earth, and Taurus, earth sign. Uranus, air sign. It is what is it in Kemet? Was it Geb and Tef and Nut, Geb and Nut, where they reverse it, where Nut becomes the female is the air and Geb is the masculine is the earth, but it's still the air and earth. So there was something while the transit occurred that it was about a subtle birthing process going on with the Uranus and Taurus. As much as they seem to be in conflict, there was some type of birthing, and that birthing shows up through this Uranus and Gemini. I'm trying to remember what song I did. It was Clarity in Sight. And the world may not get it till 2030, because I live in the future. Uranians are early. Uranians are early. The world may not get it till 2030, because I live in the future. Uranians are early. This is the door opening to that future right now. And I know I'm all over the place, so you know that's how I do. I want to clarify something too. When I did the video about the rabbit, right, and the about Uranus ingress in the Gemini, the glue that I think maybe I didn't emphasize, because people are like, well, what's the significance between the rabbit Super Bowl and now though? How did you? Because the sun was conjunct Pluto in Aquarius at the Super Bowl, and the sun was in a square to Pluto at the time of Uranus ingress into Gemini. But what I failed to mention is that the sun was also at the midpoint between Uranus and Neptune, because the sun in Taurus, at 5 of Taurus at the time that Uranus moved into Gemini, was at the midpoint between Neptune in Aries and Uranus in Gemini. So it was illuminating, what its transit was illuminated. Whatever it picked up with Pluto, it was triggering those two energies, right? And that's why we kind of saw like and we see the things playing out now. Taurus resources today on the news about automated trucks. They're increasing in Texas, 18-wheelers, right? Well, they say California is resisting right now, but that's all a game. It's all a lot of gamemanship right now. It is the fiasco with the shooting attempt right at the press dinner. It is we were okay. Thank you, Spirit. Here's another thing. My family loves the show Abbott Elementary, right? So the season finale showed that they had all the teachers down at a conference in Florida, and they made this announcement that they were shutting down 20-something schools, and that Abbott was one of them. Then all of a sudden they came back and said, "Oh, we're not going to shut it down." But the point was that was a sidebar. The point was they were talking about shutting down schools, and you don't have a show of that magnitude on a national network, right? And Straight Panther said, "I watch. Hey, ain't the janitor? He make the show, right, Mr. Johnson? I think he the funniest one on the but Gemini rules over what? Amongst other things, what does Gemini rule over? Early education. And so we have clear communication around early education coming through a medium that we would just dismiss as, oh, it's just fun. No, they're showing. You don't put that by happenstance, right? So here in Texas, schools are closing wholesale. Okay. So part of the preparation that was going on while Uranus was in Taurus was for us to be adapting the way we even look at our resources, so that when Uranus gets into Gemini, we would have potentially the mind ready to initiate things that we never thought or never would have imagined that we would be considering when we were children. And what we didn't think we would ever have to consider is you may have to teach your children. It's quite possible if you got young children and if you got certain standards that you quite possible you're going to have to be their teacher. And if you're wise, it might be more about you being, if you're wise, that you become their teacher. Which then means you have to be creative about how you're going to deal with your resources. Teachers in this transit of Uranus through Gemini, teachers are going to have to think more about those who are really passionate, who actually have a real skill set, will have to consider creating their own curriculum that functions independent of the safety net of being employed through a school system. The teachers, when these schools shut down, They're on TV. They're in the town hall meetings. The parents are raising hell in the town hall meetings. And we want to know where our tax dollars are going. And, you know how I always do we're not gonna take it. But thinking outside the box. We were already getting prepped, Uranus and Taurus, because basic resources were not stable. The trash man don't even come on the right time. The mailman used to know when the mailman was coming, right? You used to know when the trash was coming because you had to have it out there in time. It's all over the place now. Nothing is certain anymore. You can't go and complain to somebody about service. You can't call. Who you going to call? And if you get someone on the line, they're somewhere overseas. Hello, thank you. My name is Robert. Like, your name is not Robert. Robert Johnson. How can I help you? So there is no stability. We were already being prepared for the future. How much did we try to hold on? And I ain't budging. But now it is quantum speed. So the teachers would be wise that a first grade teacher, a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth, whatever, I'd be working on putting me a secret coalition together. And you have the internet. You can get you a camera now. Everybody got a computer. And you could be sitting down and making you a curriculum, using your time wisely. Instead of trying to get to happy hour Friday after school. Oh, girl, these kids was crazy. I got to get to they got a special at such and such at fucking Captain D's or whatever. Margaritas. I would be working on, because guess what? If you outside of the rigors of the system, nobody's regulating you. I could create a curriculum if I had the time. And you put parents on a subscription basis. You put them on a subscription basis. And if the churches were not so full of shit, when you drive down the street, there's a church every 2 seconds. Every 2 seconds it's a church. And they got billboards out promoting themselves. Jesus got the best wine over here. Holla at us. We got the ushers with the biggest asses. Come here on Sunday. They fighting. And this would be a great opportunity to utilize these 10 million billion buildings everywhere. But so that's the type of challenges that humanity is facing. Is you must take your reality and the control of your reality into your own hands. That's Aquarius. And look how Pluto is in Aquarius. Let's not forget about that. And how we're seeing more and more the sickness of humanity coming out. Right? And how you see how celebrities are teaming up with laymen, right? Because that's where the power is. Pluto is about power. The power is with the people. And Pluto, by modern standards, is being received by Uranus, which is in Gemini. Only limitations are those within here. These are the limitations. You're thinking. You had 1 billion people encouraging people to go out here and protest for all types of dumb shit, right? That is is dead. You don't have time to waste energy on shit that will not yield benefit. Some old bullshit preacher trying to tell you we're gonna boycott this place. They getting paid on the side. Some people telling you this person didn't win the presidency, so we're gonna stop having sex with our, like, crazy shit, crazy shit, crazy shit that don't accomplish Nathan, not nothing, but Nathan. That's dead. This full moon is dead in all of that. Let that trauma response go. We're in a new world. We're in a new world. And I feel like this full moon closes out the Cro-Magnon period, or the damn, it closes that out. So yeah, I think I've covered let me move this over here so I can see my screen better. Let's see. Called the Algo by Elliot. Let me see. Beautiful, brilliant said, I had a sister who was a teacher, protested in 30 degrees below zero for smaller class sizes and got nothing. Not too long ago after she retired. And that's sad. Because, here's the thing about people like that. You got a lot of people whose hearts are in the right place and they want to do the right thing. And they just are misguided about how. And so what we don't understand about manipulation of the mind is that a lot of times people are noble in their efforts, but they don't realize that someone has created the standards for how you resist them. I've tried to tell this to people that I've been in conversation with, and it's like you're talking to a wall. Like, you must question everything. You can't have this so-called the man that you're going against, and then the same entity has created the vehicle for you to oppose it. And then you got to study history. You got to study how civil rights played out and all these other things, not to clown these people and talk and go through about, this person was an agent and all. Like, no, just step back without trying to judge and assess, so you can figure out, wait a minute, maybe this was, whether this person was purposely misleading or not. Let's just look at it for the absolute value of what were the results. My mother's a retired teacher, and sometimes I'm gonna try to bring her on here. And my mother, is 79 years old, and we were talking about how the teacher used to be a satellite of the community. People, people looked to the teacher for guidance, and then you were considered, and the teacher took pride, and they showed up looking a certain way, and they smell a certain way, and they took pride in, like, the teachers show up now like they on their way to a rave, jeans all cut up and holding on to their Starbucks and just, oh my God, that's how they look. Oh my God. So it has already lost its luster, but we talked about how we basically went to a segregated school. Even my generation, William Randolph Elementary, was segregated. I had white teachers, but I didn't interact with white students until the 6th grade. And across town in North Asheville, which is considered to be affluent, we had Ira B. Jones, and those was considered to be the soccer moms, and they had the huge 4,500 square foot homes, and you go through their neighborhood, and everything was. It's almost like when you got in the neighborhood, it went to it's like you could just hear that, like tall trees, and just their YMCA was immaculate, and we had rec centers, they had a YMCA, and this, and what they did was they convinced us that we were losing out, right? And they said they started, this was well after I was gone. I was already grown by this time. They started busing children over to Ira B. Jones. And what my mother and I were talking about is that the seeds for this were planted with civil rights. Civil rights came in and said, you're being deprived of a great education, so you need to fight for integration. And what I'm saying is not about a racial thing. I'm not trying to push a racial agenda, but let's just be honest about this shit. Somebody has to convince you that what you have is flawed. It's called Hegelian dialectic. We have to present to you that your way of life is below standard. And then we got to show you that this way over here is better. Wouldn't you like to have, look at them. Now, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to organize a movement. I want you to lead it. And we're going to fight to get your people over there, because I think you should be part of that. And nobody asked the question of, well, what do I have to give up to be part of that? No, it's like, you're right. Because economically and politically and energetically, there was the energy of your lesser than. And that energy was used to give up, to have people give up something of value to go and be part of something that was corrupt and chaotic. So the civil rights movement planted the seeds for what would come later, where people would get bussed out of their community and end up in another community that they had no affiliation with. And for it, they done torn up. William Randolph had something special. Even with any little traumas I picked up from being around, like I said in one video, my greatest traumas came at the hands of Black people. Let's not make but it's still, I wouldn't trade it for all the tea in China. I wouldn't trade it. Right? Because you knew who your teachers were, good or bad. Right? You knew you could walk in. We've got fused into a world where now your child is locked up in a place, and you got to come like you're going. Look, I had people in my family do time. I spent a lot of time going to prisons on Sundays. It's some dismal shit. You got to get patted down. They search through all your shit. You go and it's just dismal. Just driving there, it's just the rural conditions, and it's just like you're in nowhere. And when you see a prison, it's up on a hill. It just looks like metal death. Everything's just metal. The seats are metal. Everything just, it is some of the most depressing. And you sit there, and then the inmate finally appears, and they khaki brown or they green, whatever the attire is, so that it's just a dismal. And what we didn't realize is we were getting sucked and pulled into. Now collectively, all of us have our children in prison. Go and look at Google images of prison and look at images of your schools in your city. Tell me how similar they are. They're prisons. Now go and look at these apartment complexes that, because you have your job in tech or whatever, that afforded you this $130,000 a year, so you can go and get this nice apartment where you got the beautiful pool and you're safe, and you're paying $2,500 a month or $3,000 a month for rent, but you are in a prison. Step back and look at it. You're in a fucking prison. Everywhere you go, you got to scan, show an eyeball, cameras following you everywhere you go. You're in a prison and don't know it. Got sucked in because not asking the questions. You can't allow the same people who create the dysfunction to magically give you the key to get out. That's insane. So all that disruption that Uranus caused in resources during the last 8 years was preparation. It's preparation for a lot of us to learn how to live without luxury and to choose what really matters to you. What really matters? I give up a car before I give up my books. A chance to really figure out what matters. I like to have I've got a Whole Foods right around the corner from the house, and it's convenient. Convenience is going to be the fucking death of humanity. Fucking lazy ass humans. Convenience. Oh, I don't want to have to do a thing. My groceries are delivered. I've got someone who comes in and wipes my ass twice a day, and I'm so tired. I can't bathe. I'm gonna have Lawrence come over and wash my ass. Like, convenience. Fucking convenience. So, she said, man, the way my Audi is going, I'm still sick. Yeah, I feel you. I had a lot of nice shit. I told my story. Yeah, magician dead prayers lays it all out. Facts. Long time ago. So let's see. Let's see what y'all talking about. My dad created a family of protesters except for me. I've told him I'd never do that crazy stuff. Yeah, like you say, people they think they're doing what began in the early 1980s in Minneapolis. Our schools were integrated in Vance County. Yep. Across the board. And it's we're not preaching separatism, but we're also not fools. Don't feed me the idea that this is something to help me when it's actually the mission is to separate. Let's just be honest. The mission is to separate from culture. That was the mission. My mother talks about how my great-grandmother Pay will go out in the back and grab something out the bushes because they didn't have no access to no doctors. They might have somebody who's some person who, whatever was a local black doctor, might come around to your house, right? But you couldn't run to urgent care. My grandmother and my great-grandma, daddy tell me stories like they go. If everybody would talk about somebody go out to the back and would get something. And I'm gonna say this as a sidebar. It's a great travesty that many who have some of this knowledge spend their time ego beefing on the internet. Because all of our 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 families, for the most part, if you look at it by the way we look at things, they were probably witches by the standards of what we have now. Someone who can work with the earth, who can work with the elements. And that has been degraded to somebody who can figure out how to fuck somebody up. I put that bitch in a pot. It's a sad, I'm telling you, it's a sad state. It's a sad state. The teachers in high school look like the students. That's a fact. Searching for the adult. Who's the adult here? Dead prayers, okay. Deprived of funding to help push the narrative. Yes, absolutely. Beautiful, brilliant. I was bused to the desegregated school in the first grade, and it took almost an hour just to go to school, where teachers didn't understand the black students. They demonized us at the school. A lot of people can attest to this. I was in a culture shock personally when I went to middle school, because I was in the advanced or gifted classes, and I didn't fit in with them because I didn't have that experience. I didn't come from North Asheville. My parents didn't have money like that, and then the black students, then they were, you are persona non grata if you are in a class that's where you're academically gifted. So, it's one hell of a thing, let's see. I'm a Taurus moon. Oh yeah, that explains it. I need my comfort. Sun and Scorpio and little Scorpio here. Oh boy, you know what time it is. I think I'm gonna go back and cover Lilith again. Yes, the ego death is real. Golden timeline. Let me see your new name. Infinite eternal light. All right, I like that. Peace, sister. Infinite or golden timeline. Autonomy through cortical thinking is death to the system. Ooh. Oh, critical thinking. Autonomy through critical thinking is death to the system. Absolutely. And that is the greatest threat, is critical thinking. Absolutely. Asking questions may be the greatest skill to have or lesson to learn. It's big facts. Absolutely. Okay, y'all. So, yeah. So I think that wraps it up. I think it wraps it up for what I want to talk about. I guess one more thing to point out about this full moon too is the fact that the moon stands alone in the sky. I just want to show this real quick, just for a point of reference. Just for a point of reference. So, of course, this chart is oriented for where I am in the world. But this, maybe we can do a video on this in the future. But, the planets in a chart create a shape, and it's called planetary shapes. And it can give you indications of the psychology of somebody to look at the planetary shape. You have a locomotive, you have a splash, which is mine. You have a wedge. You can have an hourglass. Well, this particular planetary shape is called a bucket. And this is the bucket right here. See, all the planets are in this area, and the moon is down here. Now, of course, wherever you are in the world, the ascendant is going to be different. But one thing that won't be different is that the moon is the lone wolf in the sky. So through the moon in Scorpio, which is associated with our eliminatory and reproductive functions, which is associated with our subconscious mind, that is isolated in the sky. This is what's called a singleton. When you look at planetary shapes, the moon is the handle of the bucket and it is the singleton, which further emphasizes its perspective at this time. So this is a very karmic moon where it is our emotional state and the deep understanding of ourselves, the deep honesty. Scorpio can be about lies and secrets, right? But on the highest octave, Scorpio is about truth. Because when you peel back the layers and look at stuff that you don't want to acknowledge, that's the truth. The truth is the shit you don't want to see. That's why you don't want to see it. So this moon is about truth. Whatever else is going on, the handle is what moves the bucket, not this shit. The handle moves the bucket. I hope y'all can see, because I don't have my pointer. I can't highlight, but you can look above the horizon line, and all of the planets are gathered in that particular hemisphere. The moon stands alone. It is reflecting the real. So I'll conclude on that. Truth is the only answer. It is the only answer. Oh, that's yours, Stray. You got a bucket like that. So when you look at a chart like that, when you have a bucket, so that means whatever is that handle planet, it pretty much to a great extent is going to drive your life. When you see that, so how you emotionally or and let's go beyond just the word emotion. That's a very limiting. Let's just use this. The moon is telling you what you need. The moon deals with amperage. The sun deals with voltage. So the voltage is what you have the power to exude. The amperage is how power comes in and flows through you inwardly. So for someone who has the moon as a singleton and as a handle of a bucket, how you emotionally, internally ingest energy and access to energy is going to determine the success or failure of the rest of your life. It's almost like once you have emotionally checked out of something, nothing else is going to work. Nothing will move because the moon is the handle of the bucket. So we're all checking in at an emotional, subconscious level. We're checking in at this full moon to see, where are we at? What am I feeling? Not to run from it, not to disregard it, but to acknowledge it and see, what is it really saying? What's the truth for me? Because that is what moves us forward. It's showing us what needs to be digested further, what needs to be eliminated, what needs to be integrated. And there's a transcendent energy too about Scorpio, about all the water signs, because water has the ability to permeate anything. So we'll conclude on that one. I want to make sure I touched on that. Let's see. children were forced to be bused out of their neighborhoods because their clothes and parents couldn't even get to their children. Yeah. We've been, oh boy, it's handwriting's been on the wall. You're welcome, Tamara. The Scorpio moon is activating the apex of my yard. Ooh. Hulk smash. They get offended when you do ask questions. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because then that reveals either what is being concealed or the fact that someone doesn't have the knowledge to answer the question. All right, y'all. Once again, I thank y'all. Thank y'all for being here, tuning in. We're going to wrap it up. Per usual, I'm available for private readings through my site, 720astrology.com. If you are price sensitive, then keep in mind that I do offer recorded readings that are a little more cost that are helpful if you're cost sensitive. You know, I've got 60 and 90-minute pre-recorded readings available. And if you desire for a more, in-person interaction, you can, of course, book a Zoom reading. But yeah, all that stuff is available at 720astrology.com. And if you want insight into your health and wellness, then take a look at circle-oflife.com. If you're dealing with anything acute or chronic, remember this, that metabolism is one of the keys to wellness. Metabolism. And Scorpio is integral in the metabolic process because metabolism involves anabolism and catabolism. Anabolism, the building up, catabolism, the breaking down. We need both for us to have wellness. And when the cell as a factory can't get the raw goods it needs, it becomes dysfunctional and it loses voltage, and that contributes to functionality all over and dis-ease and disharmony. And Scorpio, by removing toxins, takes that pressure off of the cell and then allows for the natural regenesis to code it into the human reality to happen. We got to get rid of toxic things in our environment. And when we're not just talking about food and the air and the water, we're talking about people. You're right. Oh, negative, dismal, jealous, stuck, static people, flush them, get rid of them. Right. But either way, if you think simplistic, health is simple, and there are tools that can help you gain deeper insight. Like what really works best for my vessel? A million people telling you, don't eat this, eat that. Well, what if your body has its own secret code? We have tools to help you discover that, right? Using the wonders of quantum physics. All right. So that's at circle-oflife.com. That's the end of the commercials. Appreciate y'all again. We'll zone out with something here to close out the presentation. Circle-of-life, 720astrology.com. Know the stars to know yourself. Stay down till you get up. And when you get up, stay down. Peace.
And this is the way the collective life experiences. The way way in which education is put upon not just African people, but all people, its purpose is to control and to contain in a box. And if you ever step out that box, you will then see a world that is outside the box.
As my pen inks, my mind speaks divine bloodlines, abstract concepts, metaphors, and simplistic sublimes. My delivery's okay, but my writing's another time. Zone of its own like honeycombs and armies inside of my mind. I think it right, it kick it, then go and hide in the burrows and the jungles of Jamal's hidden eye. Caught you staring, maybe glaring, still I will not comply with the status quo. Is freedom, bro, that I hold on high. Hip-hop, holy scripture writers always collide with the masses who wear glasses blocking vision inside. If all for classes with the passes mean that I'm verified, conversely would a failure guarantee that I'm vilified? Choose to reside, yes I, that's right, Jamal outside county lines. For the city limits, games that give me cluttering time. As fast as camera flashes, yes I read the symbols and signs. The birds and the vines, the bees and trees, they all intertwine. I live outside the box when my system knocks something abstract. Let my mind think before my eye blinks. Watch my dirty soul, don't let it sink. I stand naked as me. I live outside the box when my system knocks something abstract. Let my mind think before my eye blinks. Watch my dirty soul, don't let it sink. I stand naked as me. You sit with your hands on fit the mitt, your arm too long for the outfit, and you come with no permission to certify that you're legit. Face the perils of the pits and the fists of pessimists who suggest that you should quit. Get a job and shovel shit, buy some dope and try to pitch. You got the fever for the flavor, but the flavor leaves an itch. And until you scratch the bitch, as a slave you be his pick. Now take a step into this ditch that you dug. Can you dig? We're adults, no longer kids. For mistake, just consequence and hesitance. Could cleanse the lens that's been sold by foes and friends, lovers, teachers, preachers, kin. Like piston in the wind if you don't start over again and change your thinking. This lesson is about your perception. Your mind is the ultimate weapon. False reality's the ultimate deception. 1, 2, mic check it, we break it in a given second. I live outside the box when my system knocks something abstract. Let my mind think before my eye blinks. Watch my dirty soul, don't let it sink. I stand naked as me. I live outside the box when my system knocks something abstract. Let my mind think before my eye blinks. Watch my dirty soul, don't let it sink. I stand naked as me. Verse 3, in the midst of this reality, refuse to be a casualty. So casually my mind patrols the galaxy where atoms be colliding with themselves and splitting constantly. Explosion and destruction is the birth of creativity. I'm crazy, see, maybe what you think of me. Well, I agree, it takes a little lunacy to see outside the fantasy. Imagine we remove the canopies, caps and coverings, exposing the true piano keys and play these melodies. The people would be pissing levy penalties on enemies, and government officials would be running for the hills and flee the tyranny that you inflict with flip car reciprocity. You follow me? Hands up in the air and raise them hurriedly, ferociously. Emotions be the captain soul, so let them sink. A herd, no blur, vision 2020 peep, planet surfing, mega hurting frequencies. You feeling me? You feeling me? You feeling me? You feeling me?